Welcome to episode 9 of March Malcontent. Our first match is going to be between Mario and Kazuya. And it looks like we're going to be on the Persona 5 stage. I believe this is called... Oh, the name's escaping me at the moment. It's the first area of the game. It's red, you can see. Oh man, I guess I'm probably just going to have to put it up on screen. That's embarrassing, and I call myself a gamer. Oh, Mario gets a 2-hit up air combo. Mario's up air is a very good comboing move. So usually you get to hit a lot more than just 2 of them on an opponent. Puts Kazuya off stage. Air dodges away from him aggressively. Tries to go for a flood. Does not seem to understand how the hitbox of that move works. Ooh, great tech from Kazuya. I think he had a little bit of time to act out of that, and he just didn't, which led him to being punished by Mario. Now, Kazuya's in his rage mode right now. For those who don't know, it's a Kazuya-specific mechanic, even though it shares the same... Is that a spike? Oh, and... Alright, he's just launching Mario all over the place off stage. Mario surprisingly makes it back to the stage. So Kazuya's rage mechanic. It's different from rage, which is normally in the game. The everyone rage is just you deal and take a little bit more knockback than normal once you start hitting higher percents. I'm not exactly sure what the thresholds are. In fact, it might actually be present no matter what percentage you're at, but it's not in significant amounts until you hit about 70-ish%. It's actually the main reason why every character doesn't have incredibly consistent combos. Obviously, some characters certainly do. But whenever you land a combo in this game, you need to understand, and that's a great spike from Kazuya. You need to understand how your percentage and your opponent's percentage affects how much knockback they're going to be taking. So if you're at a higher percentage, you can normally get high percent combos a little bit earlier than normal. Whereas low percent combos are not going to be as consistent. Alright, a lot of moves just hit there. A couple of spikes. Everyone seems to have survived. Kazuya at about 160%, and Mario has taken a lot of damage. The Kazuya-specific rage, which was 2 stocks ago at this point, I'm pretty sure, is that once Kazuya reaches, I believe, 100%, you can see his little stock icon glows red, or you could see when he was at that range. Like a minute and a half ago. A cape! And, okay, Kazuya did not survive that, but he almost got cape gimped. When Kazuya hits that 100% threshold, it's actually a mechanic that I believe is in a lot of the Tekken games, where his moves deal about 10% more damage, but that's not exactly what you need to worry about, because he also gets one super move. I think it's called a rage art. But basically, if he lands a grab or his down special, he takes the opponent really high up, smashes them into the ground. This is about 40% and it kills really early. Kazuya being a perfect example of the DLC characters having an additional comeback mechanic. Since Sakurai seems to really start liking those lately. And that's going to take Mario's final stock. A little bit of a short match. Alright, and for our next match, we're going to be having Terry against Bayonetta. Looks like we're going to be on... Oh, I believe this is Kalos Pokemon League? I always get the Pokemon League stage names mixed up. This is the one from Pokemon Black and White where Zekrom and... Wow, I'm blanking out on all the names today. I need to... Terry is able to make that back. Crack shoots back to the ledge for some reason. Fire dunk at the ledge. Well, near the ledge. Puts Bayonetta off stage. And Bayonetta does not follow up with the combo. But the enormous fist is tall enough to hit that platform. The platforms on the stage are a little bit higher than other stages, so a lot of characters won't have, you know, an up smash or an up tilt that will reach. But as you evidently saw, Bayonetta certainly will reach. And she is really liking that up smash all of a sudden, getting punished for it. Terry tries to hassle her off stage. Bayonetta actually, she doesn't get an edge guard on Terry, but she just gets damage on him while naturally recovering, using the forward air multi hitboxes to actually bring her back to the stage. Bayonetta going high for some reason. Gets an up smash on Terry, but now Terry has the go meter. It remains to be seen if Bayonetta is going to be able to deal with that. You can shield both of his special moves, so you don't need too much extra matchup knowledge. But the moves do have a wide range, and of course they kill. Not getting the up smash prediction correctly. Bayonetta bouncing around, making it really hard for Terry to actually utilize his super special moves. Terry just barely avoiding all of Bayonetta's up airs. Power dunks not connecting, Terry getting up smashed to death. Well, 1 out of 3 stocks. Bayonetta is able to make that back. She had already used her first up special. And with the amiibo, they sometimes do have a tendency of recovering improperly. Alright, both characters are down a stock. Bayonetta has a little bit of a damage lead on Terry. Terry is a high damaging character. I don't know if he really counts as a heavyweight, but he has a lot of stuff that hurts. Up smash just barely scooping Terry up through the platform. Up smash again. Bayonetta seems to be really loving the up smashes this match. And it just seems to be working. It's not even that great of a move. Obviously it's an up smash, and the general rule is that a character's up smash will be their best move. That's mostly due to a couple of very subtle, I guess I'd call them perks that up smashes have over other moves, which mostly just makes it really difficult for an up smash to be a terrible move. If nothing else, it's quite often also a character's best upwards kill option, which many characters don't get many of. I mean, kill options in general, let alone getting to pick where the opponent dies from. So Bayonetta's up smash is definitely useful for what it's for, but it's laggy enough that it can be punished. It has weird properties in terms of clanking with other moves, I believe, to make sure it's not overpowered, believe it or not, since it is an enormous fist. Bayonetta's not making that back. She was doing so well until she had the victory stolen from her, effectively. Terry was only 4 up smashes away from death, I think. Alright, here we've got Mii Swordfighter against Wolf. Gonna be on Lilac Cruise. Thematically appropriate for Wolf, but as a reminder, stage home field advantages are not a thing. There are a few characters who have special interactions with stages affiliated with their series. None of them are particularly gameplay altering. Some of them, well, most of them being funny little cameos or inside jokes, and the few that actually can have an effect on gameplay are pretty inconsequential. Which does make sense. I believe they wouldn't want the game to be entirely dictated by the choice of stage. Wolf getting smacked around a lot, needs to start, and he gets his own combo, scoops Mii Swordfighter with the up smash. Wolf's up smash is a double hitting move, and so many of Wolf's just smash attacks have such little end lag. They're actually pretty difficult to punish. Depending on the character, you actually might not be able to. Especially if he's not hitting your shield with them. moves in general are more unsafe on shield. Granted, when you're shielding and you end shielding, if you didn't parry, you do have a more limited moveset for just a little bit. So that's why you'll see a lot of people go for shield grabs. They're not a particularly amazing option in this game. They actually, I believe, got nerfed from the previous game. But for some characters, it's kind of the best they've got. Mii Swordfighter able to make that back using the up special, not the side special. I'm not entirely sure if the Mii Swordfighter AI is able to understand that the side special is also a viable recovery option. If this was a human player match, then you might actually consider keeping knowledge like that in reserve. An immediate forward smash takes the second stock. I mean, first stock. The second stock of the match, first stock from Wolf. That, especially if you're playing online, then your opponent doesn't actually get told what your Mii's special moves are. Which is kind of important for the Mii's because the special moves are a little bit more centralizing for them than a lot of other characters. Which does make sense from a design standpoint. Since you can customize the special moves, it would be disappointing if they all sucked. And especially, I will say Mii Swordfighter in particular. So the Mii has a reflector for the down special. You've actually seen him use it. It does have the turn character around effect like Mario's cape does. Which used to only, I believe before Mii Swordfighter, it was only on Mario's cape and on Pit's down special, the reflector shield, but only in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. And I think there were a couple of custom moves in Smash 4 that could also turn opponents around. But I'm not counting those because there are a lot of those, and I do not have them all memorized. Anyways, so aside from the flipping the opponent around effect, it is also a reflector. And in online matches against usually opponents who have the one big charge shot, for example, Samus having the move called Charge Shot, or anyone with, usually it's a sphere that you charge up and at full level you can launch it for some extra knockback. Keeping that kind of information in reserve can be incredibly profitable, simply because the opponent has no way of knowing that you have a reflector until you use it for the first time. And some people, especially online, are very, very liberal with their projectiles. So if they have the big strong one, and the up smash scoop is going to be taking Mii Swordfighter off the top blast zone. Alright, and here we've got Bowser Jr. against Steve. Always sounds like a generic name, that Steve, which I suppose Steve is a pretty common name. But oftentimes you have to refer to him as Minecraft Steve, or Steve from Minecraft, just so people know who you're talking about. Kind of like if you had a character named Bob. Bob being, of course, the typical generic name. You don't actually see too many Bobs these days. It is a name variation on Robert, probably being the name with the most name variations in it. Since you could be Robert, Rob, Robbie, Bob, Bobbert. So since Bob is the generic, I can only assume most Roberts have kind of elected not to. Throwing the Mecha Koopa off the ledge there from Bowser Jr., it's pretty hard to hit people with. I'm sure you can, and Steve is, I guess, a character who is more likely than many to actually be taking the correct recovery arc, that he can't escape from it. The amiibo doesn't really seem to use the glider mechanics of Steve's recovery, since you can basically pull forwards and back just like if you were in a real-life glider. Or if you've never done that, like the wing cap from Super Mario 64. Bowser Jr. with an up air, that was actually really good. He'd used a side special off stage, so his recovery options were less than normal. Not that the amiibo seems to ever particularly recognize that. Usually the strength of Bowser Jr.'s side B when recovering is that you can jump cancel out of it, and you can do that even if you don't have a jump at the moment. So you can use your double jump, then your side special, and then jump out of that, effectively giving you an extra jump. Again, Mecha Koopa just barely missing Steve. Steve bouncing off of his own block, arguably putting him in a worse position just because it put him lower down on the screen. A lot of forward smashes, and I think it's actually most forward smashes, send you at the outward up and diagonal angle, basically putting you towards the corner of the blast zone. And there's a couple of reasons for that, mostly due to things like DI and how knockback scaling works. But it does mean that a lot of times a forward smash doesn't kill, it puts you in the top corner of the screen. Bowser Jr. got the cart back, actually. And a forward smash is going to kill Steve. Oh, but it looks like he actually used his diamond just barely. So he just lost it. Steve's resource meter, which you can see above his stock icon at the bottom of the screen, does actually carry over between stocks of matches. That being said, every time he dies, he does get a couple of resources, I guess I could say, refunded for free. That being said, he's actually doing really low on resources at the moment. Having to make weapons out of gold. They do come out faster, but they break so quickly, and the gold can be used for other things as well, such as powering up your side special. Bowser Jr. catching his own Mecha Koopa, holding onto it, and killing himself with it. That is a little shameful to be seeing in a tournament as respectful and venerated we're in right now. Steve stealing the Mecha Koopa from Bowser Jr. mid-combo. Now he forges his diamond weapon. Almost killing with an up smash there. Bowser's about to lose a second stock. Especially if he suddenly stops having his ability to hit Steve. Steve manually activates the TNT, blowing up Bowser Jr. You actually don't see that for most human players. Typically they leave the pressure plate by the TNT to effectively turn it into a landmine. Especially because with how get-up options work from the ledge, it can actually be very difficult to time them properly. Steve, ever since getting his diamond tool, seems to be doing a lot more. Just hitting a lot of moves magically, which shouldn't really be a difference. But then, of course, the moves he's landing are doing more damage. He's even trying to repair his currently existing diamond tools. Bowser Jr. struggling to land on the ground. Barely catches Steve with that up smash there. Misses with the cannonball. It's a tough move to use. It is miles more usable than in Smash 4. Mainly because it has better damage and knockback. Catching Steve with the up air near the ledge. Interesting decision, but he did get the move to land. And armoring through the up air there. Bowser Jr. is probably at up smash kill percentage at this point. And he doesn't seem to be playing like he knows that. He just keeps landing on Steve. Steve catching the Mecha Koopa again. And mining a whole bunch of resources. It looks like the stage type is giving him a whole bunch of stone. The disadvantage of that is that stone it takes longer to mine than other stage types. So if you just need any resource, you get them slower. It sounded like one of Minecraft Steve's tools broke there. I can't tell you which one. Bowser Jr. making it back to the ledge, going very low, lower than Steve could actually punish. Forward throw is not going to be killing. Going again for the down special edge guard. Probably should be trying to hit maybe, I don't know, a down air. And an up smash is going to be taking Bowser Jr.'s final stock. And for our next match, we're going to be having Ivysaur against Ness. These are both previous winners of the April Anger Tournament. Right now, we're still in the preseason, even if it is the month of April by the time this is going to be uploaded. The recording schedule always seems to evade me further than I would wish it would. But I point this out specifically because this means that Ivysaur has had a very tough qualifier match lineup this year. His first match was against Donkey Kong, who was last year's winner, which means that Ivysaur is just going up against previous tournament winners just to qualify. Ivysaur being, of course, a previous winner, in fact, our only multiple tournament winner, which I suppose we're just going to get more and more of over time unless one amiibo becomes... Nope. Ivysaur, as Charizard, had a double jump, able to recover to the ledge. Ness getting viciously spiked for his trouble trying to recover. The Ness amiibo does tend to recover at a very specific angle to the ledge. Human players are a lot more capable of capitalizing on it. And Ness actually bounced off the side of the stage there. Going for the back throw, it is Ness's best kill throw, and until Smash Ultimate, it was almost always the best kill throw in the game. However, he keeps grabbing Ivysaur at the ledge and having to throw him across the entire stage. It is a good kill throw, however, it is not good enough to kill a heavy character completely across the stage, even at that high of a percent. That's getting put off stage. Kind of a precarious position for the character, simply because he has such a punishable recovery. Getting his double jump caught out, air dodging back to stage. Ness and Lucas have a longer air dodge than almost every other character in the game. Maybe all of them. I don't know if anyone else has an extended air dodge. But they have a long air dodge, so you can often use it to recover. Squirtle just barely not dying. Puts Ness off stage and jumps out towards him and is forced to grab the ledge because Ness wasn't falling fast enough. There are often perks to being a floaty character. Ness being kind of floaty, presumably because of his PSI powers. If you are significantly floatier than your opponent, then you can usually use the difference in gravity to... It affects things like, for example, how long you're able to go off stage. Squirtle not able to recover. Ness also not able to recover. We've got a one-stock game on our hands. Ivysaur back as his namesake. Shielding a lot. Risking getting shield poked. Holding the shield very long that time, not actually needing to shield the yo-yo there. This goes for PK Flash. They got buffed just enough in Smash Ultimate that it's not terrible anymore. You still don't see a lot of Ness's use, and the third stock is going to end the same way as the second one. A little bit of an anticlimax, but it's the ending we've got, so it's the ending we're going to live with. Alright, now we've got Palutena against Squirtle. Alright, Squirtle gets first blood. Well, I call it first blood because that's normally what they call when a first hit lands in any sort of confrontation. But he sort of just spat water out at Palutena. Palutena. I don't seem to be able to say her name today, which is weird. So he just kind of got her outfit annoyingly damp. Doesn't really feel fitting for the turn. And that killed. Alright, Palutena already down a stock. Things are looking pretty good for Squirtle all of a sudden. Flare Blitz is across the stage. A little bit of unnecessary damage. Especially since Flare Blitz is a pretty good kill move. It does deal damage, of course, but you don't usually use it to rack up the damage on the opponent. Simply because if you successfully do so, you are also slowly racking up the damage on yourself as well. Interesting time to switch to Squirtle. Actually seems to have fallen out of that up air. Neutral air is going to kill Squirtle as Squirtle. And a force change to Ivysaur. Forward smash. That was actually a pretty great one. From the wrong side of the platform, but Ivysaur's forward smash reaches pretty far. Interestingly enough, it is a forward smash that throws Ivysaur at his opponents instead of just a long-reaching Vine Whip. They probably did it that way to make it more visually diverse from his other Vine Whipping moves like Jab. Re-grab, not getting punished. Palutena's off stage, able to recover. Charizard trying to, well, I guess Squirtle as Charizard, trying to regain center stage, and Palutena is just not letting it happen. Up smash, hitting with the top of it. Something to note about Palutena's up smash, though, is that the strongest hitbox is at the base of the light pillar, which is probably because if it was the strongest at the very top of the pillar, it would be a lot easier to spam, especially on falling opponents. And then it would actually have a hard time killing anyone who's on the ground, depending on how the weak spot would line up. So overall, despite being a move that has probably the most vertical range of any up smash in the game, unless there's someone who has a projectile I'm not thinking of. A double up smash from Charizard. Something you have to worry about moves with that flinch the opponent but have a low knockback is that sometimes your opponent will be using a move and you'll put in the input maybe more than once just to be sure it comes out. And if you happen to get flinched just enough in the middle of that, then you accidentally input the move twice. And if the move has a hitbox, you can get some normally impossible combos on the opponent with the help of the opponent. Side special, powering through the auto reticle, able to kill Palutena. Alright, now we've got Mega Man against Fox. As a reminder, we're still in the matches where if you lose, you're disqualified from entering the April Anger tournament. This does not mean that a victory is an automatic pass into the tournament. It does, well, exponentially increase your options, especially since I believe since you lose, you don't make it in, and if you win, you do make it in. The only way to make it in is to win. So your options get reduced to 0 if you lose, and they are not 0 if you win. So I guess they would always statistically increase your options to win. Anyways, you have a pretty good chance of making it in if you win this match. And of course, you cannot if you lose. So one of these characters, this will be the last match you see unless they make it into the losers tournament, which I guess if they lose, they probably will. I always calculate those after the April Anger tournament season, since you do need to adjust the bracket every time to make sure that you get the right number of entrants in. It's a whole thing every time. I guess I'll also mention that this is the last episode of this round of qualifications. I'll explain the next round in the next episode, because that's when we'll be getting to it, and I haven't run the next seeds yet, so I actually don't know who will be fighting Poomps to win. But we'll cover that when we get there. And then we'll get to start on with the April content. And considering that it's already April as of the date of recording this, yeah, a little bit behind the tournament season from what I normally like to be. But unfortunately, I'm not behind where it's normally precedented for us to be. Thankfully, there's no authority that's gonna come down on us if the March tournament runs through the middle of March till the very beginning of April. Still, though, you can actually see from the video uploads, assuming it's still the same at the time when you get to see this video, is that viewership vastly falls off once the month name no longer corresponds with the month we're in. No joke, April 1st happened and then suddenly everybody lost interest. Which is fine, I'm mostly doing this for friends and family anyway. I'm not trying to, you know, become internet famous based off of making 20 videos a year over the course of 3 months. That's not a very viable strategy, especially since banking on becoming YouTube famous really isn't a viable strategy to begin with. Obviously it works out for some people, but it's the new age version of when I grow up I'm gonna be a rock star. Like, you might find some success, but making a living off of it is already such a difficult prospect, and especially since the way YouTube's going, I probably don't want to have my livelihood connected to their policies. Oh, you know what? A better example would be like when I grow up, I'm going to be an astronaut. Yes, it does happen, but it does not happen to most people. Although I guess with the astronaut, you get more of a say in it. You could, you know, study science to increase your odds of being the one selected for the program. Whereas with being a celebrity, it just sort of happens to some people. Okay, Fox tried to use a side special there. In Smash Ultimate especially, but in all the Smash games as a whole, a general rule is that movement abilities normally don't bring you off the ledge. They basically do that so players don't accidentally keep killing themselves with them constantly. There are, of course, some exceptions. Up tilt is going to be taking that stock. Kind of a hard read up tilt, but it got the kill, so kudos to Mega Man. Alright, and that's going to bring us to Peach against R.O.B. R.O.B. US to be specific. Gonna be on Kalos Pokemon League. This one I can actually remember the name of. Partially because it's a tournament viable stage. So it shows up a lot. It's weird because this is the preseason tournament, so I guess you could claim that the other one is tournament viable, but when professionals play the game, most stages have too many too many different differentiating factors to be considered for tournament play. When you play this game for a living, you don't want any chance of, and R.O.B's not going to make that back. R.O.B seems to be getting his revenge on. Now he's comboing Peach in stark contrast to the first stock they had. Trying to hit a falling up air. That is something that the amiibo goes for quite a lot. It's not quite consistent enough. There's the reason you don't normally see human players go for it. It can happen, but usually by accident. Especially since R.O.B's up air is actually a pretty good kill move. Especially since, by nature of an up air, you're gonna hit it most likely above the median line of the screen, which is actually a very good range for the move to be killing in. So basically, it's a good kill move that you're usually going to be landing when you're in a good kill zone. It's interesting all that goes into making a good move or not good. Up air, this stage does have a very high ceiling, so that's not going to kill yet. Peach is a pretty light character, so she doesn't have that much of a damage threshold before she needs to start worrying about that. In fact, now that she's damaging R.O.B, that might actually be giving him enough rage that if he hits the similar up air in similar circumstances, it might just be killing. That is, of course, if R.O.B can suddenly get a hit in again. Okay, he got a forward air, but Peach is able to survive that. Peach spot dodging the grab. That was actually really good. So R.O.B has actually 2 kill throws. So the first one is up throw. It doesn't kill until weirdly high ranges. It used to be a better kill throw in other games, but I'm pretty sure it had to get nerfed because R.O.B's down throw, the berry, can lead into an up smash or potentially an up air. So it basically puts the opponent in a 50-50 of how do they escape the throw. And it starts doing that at about 100%. So R.O.B definitely has a very good kill throw, and then the second kill throw kind of more just gets used as a, I don't want any chance of this getting messed up. Since it's knockback based instead of berry based, you don't have to try reading your opponent's mash. It mostly gets used on high platforms, simply because the move has just enough vertical knockback kill power to kill off the top of the screen, but it has a... Well, the damage threshold is a lot more forgiving if you're elevated compared to if you're not. Hitting the landing up air into something combo, and getting a footstool. Rob's able to make it back. Peach actually shouldn't be using the umbrella here because it gives Rob just a little bit more time to regenerate his health. Even if it's just 5 seconds, that is 5%. I can only assume that was a forward air that traded there. I didn't actually see it come out. But it hit with Rob, and that's going to be the game. So that's the last of round 2. So we're going to be going into the next round. I'll explain the rules in the next episode. And I also need to formulate the matchups. So stay tuned for that. But until then, bye.